Hey guys, Rinji here. And there has been Twitter troubles once again. Of a what kind? Of a kind that I wanted to cover for a very long time. And that is something that is very typical of modern social media. Something that has been very typical of social media for the longest of times. And that is how hearsay and misinformation can be spread without any sort of fact checking, and people will just believe it because someone else said it and a lot of people put their likes on it. So if it's popular enough, if enough people spread something around, it suddenly becomes the truth. And from that point onward, harassment, slander, and anything else is just on the table. Nothing is against any kind of bad behavior when it comes to going after the people that you think are actual criminals. So where does our story begin this time around? It always begins with the most controversial thing when it comes to Twitter stuff, currently X, and that is someone decides to comment on a lolicon manga. It always starts with either someone commenting on a lolicon image or someone making some stuff up about lolicons. I talked about this many times before. Your typical engagement posts with starting with lolicons being pedophiles, of course, on a premium account, so they can farm engagement very easily. But this time around, it's a little bit more complicated. It's a little bit more complex than that. As this account that portrays itself as a Japanese woman, who knows if that's true or not? That's up to your own interpretation towards the end of this video. But this account called Tadano Gakusei, or just a student, had a few quote retweets and a few comments about this specific lolicon manga being promoted by this account called Ojon199654. To those outside of Japan, this is all written in English. I am Japanese woman. In Japan, there are many pedophile men, and there are a lot of pedophile manga and anime adult videos. Because of that, minors and women are consumed sexually on a daily basis in this country. Makes me want to die. Of course, you already have this framing device of portraying men specifically as bad. There needs to be this distinction made by this person that's pedophile men, specifically in Japan. Already also conflating pedophilia with lolicon, because this specific image is a lolicon manga, and what kind of manga it is we're gonna get into much later. But you have set the stage. The stage is right before you. There's this person claiming to be a Japanese woman, conflating lolicon with pedophilia, and essentially slandering men from a whole ass country of millions of people. But that's not where it ended. Continuing on. The pedophiles here are Japanese men, to make that point come across even stronger. You have to repeat yourself. However, men who are pedophiles, regardless of country, should be isolated from the rest of the world. I agree with that. However, considering you already decided to slander artists as pedophiles as well, this doesn't ring to be very just, at least in my opinion. Men who deny women who criticize pedophilia should likewise be isolated from the world. And then they continue. This time writing Japanese. People who argue against this are mad. People who are shouting, "I'm a feminist," should go and restudy the meaning of feminist. Regarding those claims that this person is an actual feminist, and not just any feminist, a radical one, well, we're going to be taking a closer look through their posts much later on. And then again, you can also still be the judge for yourselves if this person fits the mold of a radical feminist. Because they sure have a lot of interesting things to say outside of these things that were already pretty freaking outlandish. Let's continue. And when women who criticize pedophile men are pedophile-inspired manga, anime, and adult videos, Japanese men evacuate us women, saying that feminists disturb Japanese men. These Japanese men are the bottom of the human race. Again, it's all about these Japanese men. Never mind that a lot of the fiction that is considered problematic by a lot of people's standard is also created by women in a large amounts, might I add. Who knows if it's a majority at this point? I'm kind of not sure about that, despite being a consumer of all of that problematic, naughty fiction myself. I do, for a fact, still know that there are a lot of women in this industry of creating lolicon content, working in doujin circles, working in game companies that create eroge. A lot of them are women. A lot of artists, a lot of scenario writers are in fact women. But it's let's blame the men for everything. Let's blame the men because that's the right thing to do. Because women that create that kind of thing, I guess, are just like those men as well, misogynists. They have internalized X, Y, and Z. That kind of logic applies here. But let's continue, because these things just gets worse from this point onward. And as that post starts to blow up, it has hundreds of thousands of likes at this point, and the algorithm is completely in its favor. And everyone starts to see that particular post with the quote retweeted lolicon manga. People start to make shit up about it. Like, you'll tell us not to call you pedophile because they aren't real, and then back this up. Parentheses, rape confession. And why does this particular account and so many others after it think this is an actual essay confession on a minor? Well, it's because this particular tweet is captioned like, on this day, I committed a sin for the very first time in my life, in Japanese. So people started immediately think that this is an actual account confessing to some sort of crime against minors in the form of art. But it got worse, believe it or not. It always gets worse. Then they decided, to make shit up about this account as well. I also forgot to mention how this guy's username, Yama Iai, literally means ill love. So this man basically openly admits by his username that he's a pedo. There's no word to describe how repulsive and revolting this is. I hope he rots in hell. Meanwhile, the account in question is this. This comic is completely fictional. It's not based on any true events. Anyone saying otherwise is spreading misinformation. OP is just an account that makes money promoting other artists' hentai manga by sharing sample pages and posting affiliate links to purchase them. And that's what this account actually is. But there was more slander. They actually decided to go after the artist itself by making shit up without any sort of visible evidence. People have been saying this artist was arrested for CSM possession. Is this true? That's child sexual exploitation material, in case you don't know. Why are you getting this information? It was hearsay. I want to know if there's any meat to the claim, but it looks like there isn't. And the book itself, the erotic manga, the lolicon ero manga, can be bought on DL site and is a part of a series by the doujin circle called An Shokudo. It's not a real confession. It's a fictional lolicon comic. Again, available on DL site and many other pages that distribute this sort of content. DL site, one of the biggest online publishers. Insane how people just believe things without even checking properly. And who's the artist itself behind this? The actual artist, not the account promoting, quote unquote, their work probably without permission. Well, from An Shokudo is a user that goes by the name Shisari Masaki, which is the actual artist of this particular piece. And upon seeing what has been happening with the online discourse, other Japanese users decided to add them and essentially explain to them what was happening. with the subjects centering their content. Are there any cruel or abusive comments coming from a certain group of people? I am worried. Not only is it really unacceptable, even just the reading the words is a burden on the mind. Please try not to look at it as much as possible. And the artist replies with this thumbs up heart emoji. So yeah, this apparent sexual deviant, this criminal, is right there on Twitter and just, giving people thumbs up. This person that was arrested for essentially getting caught for having child sexual exploitation material. Yes, this person is sitting right there and giving people thumbs up. And people may tell me this, but Kuri, you know how Japan is. They don't treat crimes against children, against women seriously. So I guess even if this is true, this person probably got out because Japan doesn't treat crimes like this seriously. Well, my dear user that I made up in my mind, but there are people who say shit like that, believe me. If you have proof of this, I'll gladly change my mind on everything, that this person actually produced stuff based on something or got caught with something. But again, I operate on this particular thing called evidence. So please present that and I'll change my mind based on that. But as far as I see this, from my research that I've done on all of this is all made up BS. Just because these guys don't like lolicon and they're just making shit up because it fits some kind of narrative they're trying to spin. And back to that account that actually promotes that stuff. The one that people said confessed to a crime against minors. Well, here's proof that they actually do promote other people's stuff, like linking to what I think is their alt account, recommended, linking other accounts that are promoting other erotic works of fiction. It's one, here's another. And there's more and more where that comes from. And later on, they also post affiliate links to it so they can earn money from people. And there's like tens of these recommendations that these accounts do. And again, all of these are probably alts of one person or a group of people that just farms people's attention via affiliate links, so they get a little bit of money when promoting other people's work. But going back to the initial account of Tadano Gakusei, where she decides to slander all Japanese men, calling them pedophiles and monsters. What kind of other opinion does this person have? Here's them, quote, retweeting a man eating ramen and saying this. It's really disgusting. Just how ignorant can this old man be? It's something a grown man would do to argue against women's complaints and look down on and mock women? I can't believe it, because he's a man. He probably cannot understand the feelings of a woman who is sexually harassed or victimized just for having a meal. He probably doesn't even try to imagine. And you'll be asking yourself, dear viewer, like, how is eating ramen, of all things, used to sexually harass women? Well, it's about another terminally online Twitter thing that happened recently. And that is this particular post. That was promoting a ramen brand with an anime girl eating it kind of sensually, really enjoying the fuck out of that ramen, I have to say. And on a particular post where this video was posted of this girl eating this ramen, just slurping it down, it was it was brigaded, if anything, by Japanese people who thinks that this is degrading towards women, because this creates a situation where it's okay to apparently harass women for eating ramen in a quote-unquote sexual way. Yes, this is their problem that they're making up. It's because a Japanese anime girl decided to eat ramen and it looked vaguely sexual to them. When I see a Japanese girl when I see a Japanese anime character eating that ramen and really enjoying it. She has blush on her cheeks. And is really slurping that down. All I can think about is her sucking a bag of fucking dicks. That's the argument they're trying to present here, believe it or fucking not. Insane. But this particular post also made the news, not because, you know, of the critique that these weird people have of the video. It made the news because apparently it also used AI for production. Defamation is, of course, not allowed. But somehow it doesn't feel like that. Why doesn't he say anything about the way women are portrayed? Just the most common issue. It's even more amazing if it was designed and created by a production team rather than by an AI. Why aren't people talking about how I imagine that this girl, when she eats that ramen, I think of her sucking a bag of dicks. Why aren't people talking about that? Why aren't they talking about AI? Why aren't they handling my issues, my ridiculous issues? Why aren't my arguments important to them? But believe it or not, this just gets dumber and dumber the more you get into this account. Let's take a look on some other posts. Do you know what these radical feminists do well, other than, you know, shaming you for liking stuff? Well, they also like to shame women that do not that do not share their opinions or way of living. And here's that account again, this time quoted within a cosplayer, cosplaying Miku with the latest trend of cutting up clothes, you know, via retweets and likes to lift them up in sensual ways. I was going down this route. I really don't understand the nerve of people who choose to live a life where they are sexually exploited by men. Take better care of yourself, because, you know, everything that you do is for men's attention. You aren't doing that because you have any agency of your own. You aren't doing that because you feel sexy on your own. You're doing that solely for the enjoyment of men. It's, you know, also discounting lesbians who like these attractive women, but, you know, radical radfems do not think in those categories about this sort of stuff. So it's always going to be men. It's always going to be those icky men that enjoy that kind of stuff. Nobody else. And there's more of that. Going after the drawing trend itself as well. The world is really doomed if things like this happen to us, even though we don't want them to. It's disgusting. So you're saying that people put you in shirts and then tell you to lift stuff up based on retweets and likes online? Is that what you're saying that happens to you? Are you making a vague allusion to sexual assault here or something? Am I missing the point? Is this machine translation from Japanese wrong? Who the hell knows? Sounds vaguely ridiculous to me. But that's not everything. It just gets worse and worse. And then quoted tweeting this woman again. This time with her shirt down. At least, yes. Disgusting. I ended up going down this route. What the hell do you mean? Is that, again, an allusion to the fact that you did things to please men in your past and you felt exploited via that? And now you have to project that onto other women. Maybe you need a little bit of self-reflection. I don't know. And it seems like it. Let's continue. Of course, this person also doesn't really like anime and common anime tropes like panchira, you know, flashing your panties, things that has been in in Japanese anime and manga for decades upon decades, used as a joke. Call of Duty Black Ops zombies be like, and this is, oh no, they can see my panties. I forgot what this anime was from, but essentially these zombies explode into dust upon seeing women's panties, and that's the whole joke here. But of course, Mrs. or Miss Tadanogakse has this to say: disgusting Japanese anime culture, really gross. And it doesn't end on this particular anime either. Here's a girls dancing, high school girls dancing from an OP, or was it an AD of a recent anime? I forgot what this actually was. So forgive me. I'm not that up to date, but they had a problem with this one as well, with that particular dance. Really disgusting. Moving on. Here's a bunny girl character in a bunny girl outfit. They didn't like that either. I mean, it's gross to make a song with a bunny girl motive. How dare you exploit these women, putting them in bunny girl outfits. Just complete exploitation, human trafficking, whatever. And this post, again, about an anime. Karen Asaka's room is pretty dirty, isn't it? I think it's better for a girl's room to have a lived-in feel. Of course, they didn't like that post as well, and they quote-retweeted it with, "Anime otaku are gross, after all." Yeah, this is the type of person that people warned you about in the early 2000s. Like, just no fun allowed person comes in, shits on everything, makes it about themselves, and then projects their insecurities on everybody else instead of dealing with their own problems. That's the kind of person you're dealing with here. And mind you, all of their account is bitching about things like anime, bitching about women, and it just gets grosser and grosser, believe it or not. Shaming women reaches an apex with this account. But they also, go after the Japanese Air Self-Defense Force for having a kimono furry mascot. I forgot what this mascot was called, but the Japanese Air Self-Defense Force has been using it for a bit as a recruitment tool. But this person doesn't like that either, because what the fuck do they even like? Is this what a National Defense newsletter is like? Japan is finished. Why didn't anyone stop this from being on the cover? And it's just a bunch of furries without pants. Oh no. How could they do this? Did you know these furries without pants? They are standing for women's suffrage, I guess. Women are getting exploited via this. And by the way, believe it or not, I do believe the thing on the right, despite the obvious chest here, apparently that is a male. Very convincing if it is. I remember vaguely that this was a male, or maybe this is their twin. Maybe there's a different one that is actually male, which just looks the same. Who knows? I don't know. Either way, if they look the same, that's kind of cool. Let's continue, because this insanity is nowhere near done. And of all anime to go after, they also went after Konosuba. Because you wouldn't even guess why. Well, because characters decided to eat crab in the anime, yes. This is what they have problems with too. These kinds of anime are causing trouble for women on a daily basis. It's so gross. What is this healthy about? And, to give you a demonstration what this person is probably bitching about, here's a screenshot of Aqua, a character from the anime, a goddess of water, eating crab. In a way that I guess this person construes as, again, sucking a bag of dicks while eating a fucking crab leg. And to show you how stupid this is, I even went and took screenshots from this. Like, here's Megumi, another character from the series, also eating that crab, just gulping it down. But the funny part is, this particular clip that they're mad about not only features Aqua and Megumi, it also features Kazuma, the male protagonist of the series, just, completely losing his mind over how delicious this crab is. And the funny part is that he has even more of a screen time during this particular event than the girls do, and he just gulps it down in the same way that they do. Like, here's him chowing down. Here's him sensually, maybe sexually too. I don't know. The crab seems very delicious, so maybe it incurs those kinds of feelings in them as well. But he's really gulping down that crab-like meat, just sucking it all out. And, he just continues to do it. He's really enjoying it throughout many, many frames. And, because this person also didn't have enough, they decided to go after another thing. Here's them quote retweeting a post from Zawa Works. Zawa Works that apparently makes replicas of women's breasts as gag things. But making up women's breasts for the sake of humor is misogynistic as well. So they had this PSA included in the screenshot. Not all, but many Japanese men enjoy this kind of content, which is fake breasts, by the way. Japanese women are not treated as people, but as objects to be consumed sexually. They're also sexualized students and children. This is normal for Japanese men. Japanese men are abnormal. I am a Japanese woman, and I really hate Japan. Well, then leave, I guess. Please help me. I mean, you're free to leave. No one's holding you there. At least I don't think you're being held against your will. I am using a translation site, so I apologize if the sentences are unnatural. Well, please help me seems a little bit dire, a little bit hyperbolic, might I add. But again, this is not where it ended. Because when you cannot shame, women for cosplay, when you cannot shame anime characters, you go after sex workers as well, and that's not very Chungus progressive like. I don't believe that people that have been promoting your posts, that have been botting likes on your post about that lolicon manga, will be very happy about you going after sex workers this way. I really hate it when AV, that's adult video actresses, and former AV actresses openly come out in public and use social media. How dare these fucking whores use use social media on my time? How dare they? God damn. And then, just shaming women for taking nice photos too. Why would you go out of your way to be sexually consumed by a man? I honestly don't get it. Isn't it so degrading to be sexually consumed? This is such a fucking backwards way of thinking. That argument of women taking back, their own agencies, just being very, very happy with their own sexuality and showcasing their bodies, not for men, but for themselves, to feel attractive, to feel appreciated, not just because it's men doing that. It's just being appreciated because they're beautiful. Apparently there's something wrong with that as well. So just shame fucking women all day long. A life where you're sexually consumed by a man is sad. Again, just slut shaming people left and right. And then they just went up and say it. I would have liked Paki if she wasn't a prostitution account. I really relate to the tweets that answer the questions and are about prostitution, and they're also reasonable. If this woman wasn't a dirty slut, I would have taken her opinions more seriously because I really relate to them on a human level. Too bad she's a bitch. Jesus Christ. And then, lastly, it got even worse. A little bit of context on this one. This is about a former Japanese television announcer. This particular post that's being quoted, tweeted here, that also got community noted in Japanese, is about a woman releasing a book, a photo book, or even a photo diary, with her experiences dealing with trauma and PTSD she got from essentially her work and her lot in life. There's a lot to explore in this particular issue, but I won't get into too in depth in that one. If you want to learn more about this particular event that got quote retweeted here, you can go and look out those posts on your own. But essentially, this person, this Tako Potsuri person here, says that this woman is doing this to essentially get her revenge on the person that wronged her. And the quote retweet here mentions that this is like hearsay and could lead to slander, that they're making up things that they do not know, and the person, the announcer person here, is not related to any of this sort of thing that this Taco person here is posturing. Again, it's a very complicated matter, and I urge you to look this up yourselves, because it goes very in depth about this particular thing. But Mrs. or Miss Tada no Gekse decided to, make up their own shit about her. I think she does this because she was sexually assaulted. Her body was defiled, so she tries to overwrite it or get recognition by doing this kind of work, which is kind of self-harm, and is a common behavior among victims of sexual assault. Don't criticize the victim if you can't even imagine that. Aren't you fucking doing that yourself? You're essentially victim blaming a person and saying they're coping with their trauma badly, and they're doing self-harm by releasing what they're releasing. Insane account, and the fact that it has been, this account has been like touted. Oh, look at this Japanese woman that finally says that lolicon bad, and how dare you go against what an actual Japanese person says, as if Japanese people are all a monolith that think the same thing. But I can tell you one thing for certain: if there's overwhelming amount of evidence of a person being unhinged to the point where they, one, can't tell fiction from reality, two, shame cosplayers for wanting to be attractive, three, shaming women for having body autonomy, and four, which is arguably the worst one of them all, which is victim blaming a woman for dealing with her trauma the way she does, then I think a person like that cannot be taken too seriously. Don't you think so? Especially those anime posts. How can you look at them, in a sequence and treat this person like a serious person? It's freaking impossible. And I'm quite sure that when you go into all of these posts out there, you're gonna see, people acting like actual seals and just clapping and giving themselves pats on the back, how they won somehow because a Japanese person agreed with their unhinged ways. A Japanese person that, mind you, even now, as I'm making this video, as I'm recording this video, has allegations of being an actual Korean and just stirring shit up for attention. How true those allegations are I do not know. Maybe they are as true as this person's opinions, so not at all. But for now, that's everything, and I hope to see you on the next one. Jesus Christ, man.